And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say it
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson here to talk about NFL Week 17. It was a weird week, man. We had a lot of really good games. We had a lot of upsets, teams getting eliminated from the playoffs in the most heartbreaking ways possible. We're going to talk about the 5 most important games of the week. Before we do, though, I want to remind everybody that today's episode is presented to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. If you're going to be betting on the NFL playoffs, the college football playoff, this week is loaded with so many good games. There's good bowl games. This is going to be one of those weeks where you got work to get done. We've got work to get done working in media. And we do, but we're going to kind of have to pretend we're working, do as much shoddy half-effort work as possible so that we can lock in on watching the TV because there's so many great games happening. If you're going to go do that, go and do it over at FanDuel. It is the best platform for betting. There's player props that you can grab. There's the most random sports that you want to bet on. We've bet on ping pong and darts, rugby. What was the snooker? We bet on snooker. They've got everything over at FanDuel. Any lines that catch your attention?
Well, let's just talk. I mean, the warm-up game tonight for Los Angeles before their Super Bowl run is nice. 7.5 favorites against Atlanta. Thank you. That'd be nice. Also did some CFP discussion today about some of the lines that we're getting midweek. I think the tastiest might be the biggest spread, and that's Ohio State giving 9.5 versus Miami. Don't want to bury any leads here.
You're taking them to you were getting grilled, by the way, tasty. In the Geeked Up podcast comments because you said that, and there are a lot of people that were coming at you for doubting the Canes. Quit doubting the Canes, Sean.
Sorry to make the dozens of Miami Hurricanes fans upset. I shouldn't do that. I love Michael Irvin.
That's actually
do that.
That is probably the most mischaracterized fan base to say that about, because there are a shitload of Miami fans, and I have learned that they are the most vocal and aggressive out of any fan base. So
sure,
do not put that out there.
People are in Florida, go there and they lose their minds. So it's fine. Lose your mind about the football team. Probably the most productive thing you can do in Florida outside of saltwater fishing.
Well, don't anger Miami fans like Sean over here. He hates people from Florida, but we got a lot to talk about today.
Maybe I do.
I
do have an
you hate bias. Jacksonville. You hate the Jaguars. You hate.
I love Tampa. I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I hate all Florida baseball teams.
Just a bad person.
I think the Heat are pretty cool.
We're gonna figure out what really is your rooted hate for the state of Florida. It's just crazy. All right. Well, we got a lot to talk about. We got to start with the 49ers and the Bears. This was an immaculate game. Like, holy shit, this was one of those games where you watch and you're wondering when the next big play is coming. And it came down to the wire. The Bears almost mounted the comeback, again, as you would have expected. Watching this game, it came to a moment where when the Bears got the ball for their last possession, I was just thinking to myself, they're going to march down. They're going to get in position. Whether they convert from a goal-to-go situation or not remains to be seen. They didn't. But there was no way that drive was going to get stalled. I think that my biggest takeaway from this, or my 2 biggest takeaways, are, 1, the Bears continue to reinforce the fact that they are a legit playoff threat this year. And if they effectively approach rounding out their defense during the offseason, they can become an even more legit threat next year. It feels like they're a couple holes away from really, really becoming what the Bears we've wanted them to be for so long. The other thing, though, with the 49ers, I just don't know if what they're doing right now is sustainable. Brock Purdy played really well despite throwing a pick 6 at the very beginning of the game. Christian McCaffrey's kind of hobbled, and they're really, really banged up with all of the key players that they lost, and it showed with how awful their defense was and how many points they gave up. I just wonder, is this something that is capably replicable when they're going up against other top teams in the playoffs?
I think the 49ers are like the NFL's best kept secret this year. They have just been kind of skating along. They went 3-3 with Mac Jones. Purdy comes back, rocket ship. They took off like a rocket ship, and the Bears are legit. That's a huge win for the Niners. Really, I mean, one of the games of the year, probably top 5 regular season game of the NFL season this year. Really, really good performance from both teams. You're 100% correct. The Bears have certified themselves as a threat. They have an offense that can move the ball at will reasonably. Like in the situation where you need to go down and drive 60 yards to get a shot at winning the game, they can do that. There's so many teams in the NFL that just flat out can't. The Bears can. That's dangerous. The 49ers, though, the way that they just skirted under the radar all season, and now everyone's like, oh, they're so good. Are they going to be the 1 seed? Yeah. Kyle Shanahan's a pretty good coach. Christian McCaffrey defied all human logic of being able to come back off of seeing specialists for his calves. Remember that? Offseason, I'm going to Germany and getting my calves looked at by experts. I guess they figured it out. He's got like the most yardage in the league this year. Number one fantasy football player in the league this year. Tremendous season from them. And they don't have all their stars. And they keep on winning huge games. And they're in the toughest division in football. It's a legit Super Bowl contender. The NFC West is the best division of football. Like bar none.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Far and away. Highest level of competition, highest level of coaching between the top 3 teams, and then talent and physicality upon scattered through the Niners, Rams, and Seahawks. It's really going to produce a Super Bowl champion, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the Niners.
But here's the thing, though, is what you just mentioned there of those 3 teams, as explosive as they are on offense and how well they've performed in games against big opponents, I just feel really uneasy betting on a team that has dealt with not only injuries, but significant injuries. They're without Bosa. They're without Fred Warner. And I feel like that showed up against the Bears. You need a big-time playmaker defensively to bail you out in a game like that. And look, they won, but what is going to happen when they get to the NFC Championship game? That's why I think you win a game like that, but can you repeat it? We're asking for some pretty thin margins for you to put up 40-plus points again against a Bears defense that has its own issues. Their issues are they just don't have the bodies yet to really hit that stride of being more competent defensively. They just don't have the full unit there yet. But you as a team had the guys, and now you're turning to and relying on rotational players that are playing more significant roles. I have a lot of pause because oftentimes these teams that are banged up that still end up winning end up faltering in the playoffs.
I think the longer that Caleb and Ben Johnson work together, the more dangerous that Bears team is going to be. That's what I've seen. I mean, week to week improvements from the Bears is like, in baseball, it's like you're an okay player if you make adjustments at the plate every game. You're a good player if you make adjustments at the plate after every at bat. You're a great player if you're doing it after every pitch. That's basically what the Bears are doing right now. They're doing it after every pitch, it feels like. After every freaking game in the NFL, they look like they're better, even in a loss. Losing the Niners in this spot, obviously you want to win. You want better seating. You want a better chance to play at home. Whatever. You're out there proving yourself as a legitimate threat. And you know what? That's striking some fear in the hearts of the sorrier NFC teams that you're going to have to play in the playoffs. I can't wait to see this Bears team play in the playoffs. I think they get up a little bit. It's a better energy than any of those Eberflus Bears teams that had talent. Like the Bears have never been one of these franchises that couldn't get a player that players didn't want to go play for. They have legacy, great fans, awesome culture, and now it's all coming together because they have a coach that actually understands that and isn't crippling the team like previous coaches have. And you know what? You got the number 1 overall pick quarterback. He's actually panning out a little bit. Laser arm. I mean, the things that he can do, it's really, I think, inappropriate to draw Mahomes comparisons in the broad sense. But I
don't think it is, though, but because he's the closest comparison. That's what we said. That's what draft analysts said in the pre-draft is like, if we're trying to rebuild Patrick Mahomes, it's Caleb Williams.
When he scrambles out of the pocket, which I don't like, and has to make a play outside of the pocket, again, don't like. But when he does it, and he is off balance or he sets himself, and he decides to load up the rifle and throw it, it's a missile coming out of his arm. Yeah. That makes a difference to me. You're not throwing up softballs and giving it a 50-50 chance. You're elevating your odds if you can be accurate with it, and I've seen him do that. The 40-yard touchdown pass to Jake Tungus last night in the end zone when he rolled out, tremendous, incredible ball placement, incredible arm strength. That's what I think made him look like a 1-1 pick. And if he keeps on doing that, sky's the limit for him. And also making friends with Luther Burden. How about that? Him and Luther are getting along.
Dude, I'm glad that Luther Burden's starting to pan out and he is turning into this weapon, because he was a guy I was just blown away by the criticism that he got leading up to the draft. And I thought he was one of these players that was overly dissected. He had that one cut where he planted and just pivoted and kind of tapped the ground with his hands and then got upfield. That was one of the nuttiest cuts that I've seen from a receiver in some time. I don't think people realize how freaking shifty that dude is. He will become a 1,200 to 1,500 yard receiver in the future in that offense. He can be Amon-Ra St. Brown, but better. And that's what's crazy about him. He's a former 5-star recruit. He was a highly regarded prospect for a reason, and he shouldn't have gone as late as he did.
Man, all he did was make plays in college, and then he slid, and I didn't get it. I couldn't understand it. Was he undersized? What was that?
He's not undersized.
It doesn't look like he's undersized. It looks like he's got all the tools that you would need. I don't understand why he was like getting worked into the offense and fell to the Bears where he did. That was shocking.
The Bills absolutely would love to have him.
Oh
at the
my
current
God,
moment.
would they?
Complete opposite game for the Bills and Eagles. Another playoff future, or not a playoff future matchup, but like a matchup between two teams that were going to be in the playoffs. Completely different result. Both these teams could not move the ball for long periods of time. Total defensive takeover. This produced one of the craziest stats that I've seen, and I think that it settles the debate on like where Jalen Hurts fits in the discussion of, is he a top 10 quarterback or not? Jalen Hurts has now become the only starting quarterback that has attempted a pass without a completion in a half, and he is the first quarterback since at least 1991 with multiple wins in a single season while accomplishing that feat. It's the first team, the Eagles, since 1987, the 1987 Patriots, to win multiple games in a season in which they did not complete a second half pass. To not complete any passes is absolutely nuts. They had 26 total yards after halftime. Hurts completed none of his 7 passes again, as we said here, and Barkley had 8 rushes for 17 yards. As disgusting as that is, it's more important to recognize that their defense is ridiculous and that the Bills have a serious problem. They cannot move the ball when they need to because it feels like they do not have the supporting cast to help Josh Allen. James Cook's a great player, man, but God, this is the biggest proof of you can be an otherworldly quarterback. When you play top-tier defenses, you need someone. You need someone to throw to that's going to get open.
Yeah, it's not going to get done with Khalil Shakir. It's not. And he's
or Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, they're great gadget guys. They're great. Oh, let me scheme up a Shakir play. I'm gonna take my 1 wide receiver, my 2 wide receiver, clear it out, and now we're gonna get a 40-yard gain, but with a little a dig when nobody's there. Like, that's what he's built for. He's built for jet sweeps. He's built for maybe a second down, you take a shot. Not leader of the offensive receiving core. This was an unfortunate game for Buffalo. It was unfortunate for a lot of reasons. Firstly, most prominently, you gave everybody a clip of Nick Sirianni yelling at the Buffalo fans in the tunnel after the win, shouting, "Where's that talking now? Who's talking now?" All the while next to a miserable A.J. Brown who, like you said, didn't get much action in the second half, nearly lost the game. I think A.J.'s in hell. I week to week, like, he'll open up a game and like, man, they're really starting to target the big man. Maybe this is the game that he goes off. He gets happy again. Nope. Just falls off. Just, oh, no, we're done. We're done, AJ. No, you're not going to get a catchable pass. Don't worry about it. We're still going to win because we have a freaky defense. Jalen Carter's back. And for some reason, the Bills are letting Jalen Carter get one-on-one reps versus Osiris Torrance. I guess that's a game plan. I don't agree with it. I don't like what the Bills did, especially because this was a game, Joe. It was a sloppy game. It was cold. It was wet. It was rainy. It looked like terrible conditions, which I love. But this is where Buffalo needs to go and do it. They need to win this game because I guess Philly had the man in them to go out there in that slop and win it. Buffalo, that should be your calling card. When it gets ugly out there, that's when our big horse starts running. That's when Josh Allen escapes the pocket and starts taking the souls out of some Eagles defensive backs. He didn't do that. The Bills were shockingly stale on offense. And I hate doing this dance. It feels like week in, week out, we're having a totally different conversation about Buffalo. Oh, their window's open. This is the year they're going to do it. And then, window's closed. They don't have enough talent. Which is it? Because right now, the projection is AFC Championship loss. And someone else is beating them because they just don't have the guys to win them the game outside of Josh Allen and James Cook.
That's how I'm looking at it. And that was like my biggest takeaway from this was you finally have the perfect window to go and win a Super Bowl, to get to a Super Bowl. We've talked about this a number of times with no Burrow, Mahomes, potentially no Lamar Jackson, but it seems like Lamar will be in the playoffs this year. Your biggest adversaries in the playoff hunt are out of your way. And it's a lot of young new teams. It's a lot of teams that haven't really been there before and aren't experienced, unlike you. And you're not going to be able to capitalize on that. And this is the inverse of what I talked about here with the 49ers, where how sustainable is this? This was the proof that it's not sustainable to live by Josh Allen being Superman and elevating the play of all of his receivers. He needs one go-to premier guy. He needs someone. He needs someone who is as good as Stephon Diggs. And that's not talking down on Josh Allen. Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL right now physically, but even the best players need help. They're just not getting him that help.
It's not Joshua Palmer who they added. It's not Tyrell Shavers that's going to do it. Dawson Knox is like a good second option receiving tight end. I'm kind of sick of them considering him their big dog at the tight end spot, moving the chains. Don't see that a lot. They brought back Gabe Davis. I forgot about that. That's nice. He went 0 catches, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns, long of 0 and 1 target.
How about Brandon Cooks, though, by the way? That one catch that he had, too, was unbelievable. Who would have thought, man?
You know what? The Bills are not in the position to be, we're going to make do with what we have, and we're going to cobble together a stew with all of our leftover ingredients. No, go to the market and buy a good steak. Go get some fresh ingredients and make a good dinner because we all want to eat.
Glue. That's what they're doing. They're using that meat.
They are using meat glue.
They're sticking shit together.
That's disgusting. That's exactly what this offense is. Just a bunch of sloppy meat glue put together.
Like do you ever get sushi from a spot and you think it's a good sushi spot, and then you're eating the sushi and you're like, man, this. And you kind of look at the meat and you're like, oh man, this is all stuck together. It's got meat glue over it. Or what? I got one buddy who always points that out when we go and get sushi. He somehow notices it every single time. You won't really notice it until somebody points it out. Well, now it's been pointed out that everything's stuck together with meat glue. Go and get the real nice tuna, like the really, really high end nice tuna. That's what you need. And I don't know who that is. This also is, to be very clear, this is not a circumstance where you go, oh, we'll go draft the guy in the first round. No. You don't have time for that shit. You don't have time for so-and-so to come in. And it's a good receiver class. I would actually implore them to draft somebody maybe in the second round. Go and maybe trade up to go and get a Casey Concepcion, or try and grab a Denzel Boston or one of these guys that could be a big-time playmaker. But that guy's going to come along. You need to go out in free agency via the trade market, find someone. I would get rid of my first round pick and I would go and trade for somebody. I don't know who's necessarily off the top of my head is available, but you need to go and make a move. Use that first round pick. It's always the general discussion of, is it more valuable to draft somebody or to use that first round pick to go and get somebody? In this circumstance, it's more useful to go and get somebody.
I agree. Can I do a really annoying bit that sounds like Cope, but it's not Cope? If just the quarterbacks switch teams, or if the offenses, the skill group switched in this game, and Josh Allen was throwing to AJ
Josh
Brown,
Allen wins by 30.
The score would have been 40-10.
I don't want to hear anyone talk around that.
That's a real close to if man bit, and I know that's
not an if man bit.
But oh my God, I'm just looking at this. It's like AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. Those three guys win Buffalo a Super Bowl, even if Josh Allen is 80% of the quarterback that he already is. They win a Super Bowl with that. You can't do. I just don't like how they have put themselves in a spot where you're hoping again if you're Buffalo. The 1 year where you're like, I'm going to take the bull by the horns and try to control my destiny, you can't.
Poop down your leg.
Yeah. Go ahead. Poop down your leg.
Speaking of doing that, the Steelers lost in the most inexplicable fashion, but at the same time, it felt like destiny as the Ravens won on Saturday with this huge offensive output. Derrick Henry has a ridiculous game. Of course, I'm facing in my fantasy championship this week. That hurt. But the Steelers had every opportunity here to beat just a lifeless Browns team. And it couldn't have been more apparent that the events of last week led to this. And I'm referring to DK Metcalf punching that weird fan who had a press conference. That dude sucks, by the way.
Pick the hat selection.
The turned around hat. The
turned around fitted.
Never do the turnaround fitted. You
With
can't
the
not look
beard.
like a piece of shit.
The
turnaround fitted hat. But the reason why I bring this up, they had a lot of issues moving the ball. It was kind of par for the course of the Steelers season where their offense was inconsistent. But on the final drive, Aaron Rodgers starts doing his typical thing where he marches him down. He's putting together the game-winning drive. And I can't help but think about the final play where he's throwing a jump ball to MVS with Denzel Ward over him.
That's all he's ever wanted to do.
And my mouth is agape because I'm sitting there thinking, it's almost like he thought that DK was there. Obviously, that's not the case. But that is a ball that you throw up to DK in the back corner of the end zone, not little old MVS. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is not coming down with that pass. He threw it up. The ball was above him, and his hands were like 3 yards below it. It was almost quite literally like he thought, oh, shit, that's not DK after he threw it over there. I think that DK makes that grab. DK and the events that transpired completely effed the Steelers. And if they miss the playoffs because he's suspended for these 2 games, it's all on DK Metcalf. I don't blame him for losing his cool. I would love to know what the whole situation was with the fan. If there's something that we missed, it was recorded. Apparently, he was just calling him his first name. I don't know what it was, but that whole situation, we're going to look back as maybe being the end of Mike Tomlin and costing them a shot at the playoffs.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd losing to the Browns. This is the 4th straight loss that the Steelers have had at Cleveland. My whole life, the Steelers have punked Cleveland. It didn't matter if it was in Pittsburgh. It didn't matter if it was in Cleveland. My entire life, they've been stomping them out. And then for some reason, the last 4 years, Cleveland is just the kryptonite for those guys to go and travel to and win at. Maybe they're getting weak. Maybe they don't want to win in Cleveland. I don't know how it's possible. Shedeur Sanders, perfect timing, by the way, is somehow out-dueling. He is somehow perfectly timingly out-dueling the future Hall of Famer first ballot Aaron Rodgers, keeping them out of a lock into the playoffs. Personally, as a fan, I love getting an all or nothing game between the Steelers and Ravens in week 18, where chips are on the table. We got to see who wants it more. That's primo NFL to me. It doesn't get better. This is so embarrassing, though. Yeah. You don't lose to this. You don't lose to the Cleveland Browns this year. If you lost to the Cleveland Browns this year, you should lose a draft pick. You should be punished. You should be fined. The team should be fined. You should have to. A local Cleveland business should be able to put in free advertising in your stadium if you lost to them. Whether it's a tire shop, deli, whatever, it gets primo branding right behind the end zone. That's what you get for losing to the Browns. Also, I know I was trashing Florida and the people of Florida. Why can Pittsburgh not bring in a receiver that doesn't lose their mind? Why?
That's a good question.
There's the trend is the list is getting long of guys that go to the Steelers or are drafted by the Steelers, always uber talented. They find talented receivers every single time. And for some reason, they lose it when it matters most. DK Metcalf going down. He's had a better season than I thought he was going to have. I thought he was going to be slower. I thought he was going to lose a lot of his route tree. I thought, maybe he was just going to be a big physical DK Metcalf guy, not a burner. Maybe lose a bit of the hops. No, he was good, impactful, carrying the offense a bit, being a wide receiver 1 when they needed him to be. You do this, and now you're losing to the Browns. And Myles Garrett doesn't even get the sack record. Did you see he was crying about?
Well, I didn't see that.
Yeah, he was talking about, oh, well, I think the Steelers lost because they're too focused on stopping me from getting sacks.
That's been a talking point, and they were trying to get the ball out really quick. It was like one of the fastest games this year of them trying to get the ball out quick, which is really stupid. You should have your priorities straight. And if you're that afraid of relinquishing that, then, so be it. I find it really ironic, though, by the way. I went and looked at the comments of the Steelers video we did last week talking about how it does not really feel like what they're doing is setting – like they're on their last legs as a team, as a unit, and all of these comments in there were shitting all over us. And lo and behold, here you are completely doo-dooing in your underwear on TV against the Browns, a team that you're supposed to blow past. Look how accurate we were with that. I don't know what the future holds, but I maintain the point that this roster is in a very dire situation because I don't know what the hell you're supposed to do next year. I think a trade up needs to happen. I'm going to continue to reiterate that they need to go and get a young quarterback. They have to. You're going to have to sell a lot to make that happen, but if you continue to live by this, by just bridge quarterback to bridge quarterback, with one really good receiver and not many other weapons, you're going to continue to sit at this spot and you're just going to slowly regress more and more.
Here's the bummer. The Steelers have an awesome offensive line. They have an awesome defensive line. They've got a couple really good linebackers. I know Patrick Queen, people are up and down on him and thinking that he would have been able to provide a bit more to Pittsburgh. And then you're kind of going back and like, oh, I wonder why the Ravens let him go to their bitter rival in the same division and weren't too upset about it. Well, sometimes he misses that tackling hole that he needs to be in. But they've got so much talent that's just sitting there, and it should be better. Like honestly, and I can empathize with Steelers fans being like, oh, we go to the playoffs and we lose, or oh, we got a winning record, we don't make the playoffs. I understand that. Something has to click because I can't watch Zach Frazier and Isaac Seumalo and Broderick Jones, Mason McCormick, Troy Fatano block their asses off all season next year for naught. I can't watch Derek Harmon have a great year for naught. And TJ Watt and Peyton Wilson. They got Asante Samuel Jr. and Joey Porter Jr. You're telling me those guys can't stop receivers? Of course they can. Make it happen, Pittsburgh. You kind of suck right now.
It's extremely disappointing. Texans Chargers on Saturday was a frustrating game to watch because it's another moment for If Man. Mm-hmm. Where you feel, man, if only he had a good offensive line, this dude would be so good. If only Cameron Dicker could actually connect on his field goals, being the most accurate kicker in the NFL. If Oronde Gadsden could actually catch passes and not give the ball to the other team, who knows how this game would have turned out. But the Texans, I think, proved that they are a comically good defense. The Texans are now, by the way, the first franchise in NFL history to make the playoffs in multiple different seasons after starting 0-3, having previously accomplished this feat in 2018. Herbert was pressured on 38.1% of his dropbacks in Week 17, taking 5 sacks and completing just 4 of 10 passes for 32 yards and a pick while under pressure. And, of course, Danielle Hunter had an insane game, team-high 6 pressures with on 36 pass rushes. He had 1 sack and 3 quick pressures. Will Anderson also played really well. It's just like a stacking of dominant performances week after week with the Texans. Historically, defensive teams don't win the Super Bowl unless they have comically elite defenses like the Ravens in 2000. Like when you have to have one of those like
the Legion of Boom.
Yeah, just insane defenses to win through your defense. They obviously have enough of a core offensively where they can do damage, but I do wonder if the Texans aren't this sneaky team, and you've pointed this out before, to go on a run and actually get to the Super Bowl.
I wouldn't want to play him. I wouldn't want to play against the guy who set the NFL record for most third down pressures in a single season, Will Anderson with 47, by the way. Just really, really good stuff from that defense. And it's one of these, oh, that makes sense. Like, DeMeco Ryans, San Francisco coaching tree. And then he goes to the 49ers and they get him some defensive players in the draft. And oh my God, look at this. Holy shit, are they good? I can't, my mind is blown. It's not. This was, of course it was going to happen. The whole thing with the Texans was, can CJ Stroud be surrounded with a couple guys? He's got Nico Collins. He's got Jake Ferguson. That's a couple guys, and that's leading them to win. But those aren't the dudes that I think necessarily you win Super Bowls with. Nico might be. I think so. I think Jaden Higgins has been really good this year.
I think Jalen Noel's also starting to come.
He's
I think
been
that
good,
they've got the core in like next year to like really get in that mix.
Like Noel, Higgins, Hutchinson, they're all young. They're all just they're not there yet, but they're so good that they're dangerous. Like it feels like one Julio and then 3 Taylor Gabriels. And all right, we'll see if these guys who's going to step up and be the guy. It's just risky. It always feels like the Texans are in a risky game. It doesn't feel like a lock when they're playing somebody. Obviously, I bet on the Texans to beat the Chargers, and they beat the Chargers. Yep. It's just a smart play. You don't have an offensive line. Like if one of these teams in the AFC is coming in with a subpar offensive line in the playoffs, which I think a couple will be, Texans will beat them. That is something you should just chalk up as they're going to the quarterback for that team isn't going to be able to breathe. They're not going to be able to get the ball out. So you're playing a very one-dimensional offense. All the Texans would need to do is score what's fair, 17 points, 21 points.
Yeah, and their offense isn't that bad. But this is kind of like the flip side of the coin, though. They're like we're hyping them up, and they're very exciting. And I think back to the Chiefs game as the one game where I was like, holy shit, this defense is insanely good. They're making – I know that the Chiefs had their woes this year, but they're making Mahomes look incredibly flustered. And he was having the most problems I've seen him have in some time. But the problem is if they face a team that's got a pass rush that is above average, I worry for CJ Stroud. Like the Chargers have a good defense.
Yeah.
They don't have – like Khalil Mack at the age that he's at is not as dangerous as he once was. Here's an easy example. If they were to get to a Super Bowl and they played against the Eagles are winning that game 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
That is a front that when you finally get into a matchup with a team that's got an elite pass rush that you're literally not going to be able to do anything. I'd even throw out there, if we're just looking at some of the teams that they can face in the AFC, if they have to go up against the Jaguars again, I think that front has proven to be able to produce pressures. The Broncos defense has a really, really good front seven.
They would punish them.
I have a lot of fear. I don't like buying into teams that have really bad offensive lines. I want the Texans to be good. I really like this Texans team. I love the receiving core that you brought up. But here's my one concern is, at what point does that unit not completely cause you to collapse?
Yeah, the Texans offense with an average defense would lose to the Texans defense with an average offense if they were playing each other in this hypothetical scenario. Like it's just, they're just a bit lopsided, and they shouldn't be. CJ Stroud's a dude, and no one talks about him either. That bums me out. I think he's so good. I think that he's put up with so much BS in Houston, where they've been in sneaky rebuilds every single year that he's been there, where it's catastrophe in the offseason. Save us, CJ. Okay, I'm professional CJ Stroud. I'm going to go save you. And he does. And nobody talks about him because they're in Houston and they're in the AFC South. They don't really play anybody. They don't get a ton of primetime games. But Jesus, they win a lot of games. And he doesn't cost them games, which is so valuable. It's just really, he's a special quarterback, and we should be talking about him with more reverence because he just is so good. And I don't see him like, it's never, CJ Stroud is having a Baker Mayfield day where he just can't get right. CJ Stroud, if he's off, it's like 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He's never having the god-awful performance, which keeps him in the playoffs every year. Just give him something. I get angry at these teams down the stretch, knowing what they could have been, but they don't want to do that, Joe. They don't want to be great.
All right, last bit that we got to get to here. We've been tracking the NFC South race for some time. It's become a battle for nobody wants it. We are now entering a situation, and this is, I'm kind of rooting for the hilarity of this occurring. It's probably not going to, and it depends on the outcome of this Falcons-Rams game. If the Falcons win both of their last 2 games, even if the Bucs beat the Panthers would still win based on a 3-way tiebreaker, which is division record. That would be nuts. That would be hilarious if that was the future that was ahead of us. Now, the Falcons aren't going to do that because they suck.
That's right.
And instead, it's probably going to be whoever wins this Panthers-Bucs game. Right now, I feel very uneasy about both these teams. The Bucs They've lost 7 of their last 8 games after starting 6-2. The Panthers, just every single time that we're buying in, we're excited. They produce a total stinker. Bryce Young, as we're getting hyped up on him, produces a total stinker.
Yep.
One of his worst starts with a career low 54 yards, 14 of 24. He had a lot of opportunities. He had averaged 1.1 air yards per attempt, which is the second lowest mark in his career. The last time that he went under, he had 30 yards or fewer, was when he was benched last season when they played the Chargers in 2024. I want to buy in, and I keep buying in, and then I keep being disappointed. I think Bryce Young has shown that he can be a starter, but then he does shit like this where they play against a really good defense, and he looks overwhelmed.
Quickly, let's just take a table poll here. Rooting for the Panthers. I'm rooting for the Panthers.
I am rooting for the Panthers.
So we're both Team Carolina here.
Yeah.
I think Carolina is a better story than Tampa this year. Tampa makes me feel like a fool, and they make me feel like a bad person for believing in them because this skid doesn't feel like a Tampa Bay skid. It feels like some shit that Atlanta would do, or something that the Chargers would do, or some cursed franchise. Like Todd Bowles, whatever you think about him and him quietly speaking into the microphone and not giving you much on the sideline or in press conferences, he's been running a pretty well-oiled machine in Tampa Bay. Like really a professional franchise. This year is shocking to me, and I was a buyer. I was a Tampa Bay Buccaneers believer, a fan. In division, I like the Bucs. I thought they had everything. Emeka Ibuka, oh, that guy's going to be an all-pro. Bucky Irving, that guy's going to be an all-pro. They got everybody that you need. They couldn't do it. Baker Mayfield is like, he has been off his arm. I think he's injured, actually. The way that when he scrambles,
that he dealt with.
Yeah, it's like Baker isn't the guy that skips passes to his receivers. He's the guy that throws it into the opponent's hands when the opponent is 10 yards away, but he's not skipping the passes, and he's been doing that a ton, and he just does not feel right. Whereas the Panthers just feel like a young team that's going to get worked by a better team in the playoffs, but win the division. I mean, good God almighty, Carolina. You beat Atlanta by 30. You beat them again. You swept them. You've been rolling through this soft-ass division. You can't win it? I know it's a tall task to beat Seattle this past week. I know it is. But you got to beat Tampa because no matter how Tampa Bay looks in this game, if Tampa Bay were to go out and win 45-0, they'd still get smoked in the next round. Carolina has a little bit of the magic gene in them this year with the Rico Dowdle resurgency and Teteroa McMillan being a possible offensive rookie of the year and guys blooming and blossoming all over the place. Mike Jackson, most underrated cornerback in football. Every time you watch the Panthers, he makes a huge play, and he did versus Seattle. And then the offense just couldn't capitalize. Like, they have this magic gene where they can at least make it interesting in the first round before they get victimized by whoever they're playing. I want the Panthers to do something this year. I want them to be exciting. I want to believe in Bryce Young and this team for the future. If they go out and they just like stumble and stutter, like, what does that do for next year? Like, what is this? Oh, we're thanks, Panthers faithful. We're ready to reload and attack next year with even better hunger. No, you're in the same spot. Like, this is one of those games that changes the trajectory of a franchise. If you go to the playoffs as Carolina this year, you could go again next year. The potential is limitless. If you stay out and you let Tampa Bay go again, guess what? You're in Cancun in January again.
I lean towards the Panthers getting it done because if we just look at the context of who they played, and we talked about this a little bit last week, you've got one team that's playing a lifeless Dolphins team that just has packed it in. Quinn Ewers is starting. You're not supposed to have as many problems as you did. I mean, they traded away one of their best defensive players in Jalen Phillips. They're not supposed to beat you. You're not supposed to look as clunky. You're not supposed to have as many errors offensively as you Dolphins did. It's not supposed to be a team that, here you go, hating on Florida again. It's not supposed to be a team that you're going to lose to. And they lost. The Panthers inversely played against a really good Seahawks team that could end up finishing as the number 1 seed in the NFC because their defense is really freaking good. You still ended up disrupting Sam Darnold. You forced a pick. But the thing that's got to be better is Bryce Young can't be this volatile. Nah. He just can't. He's got to be steadier. Otherwise, your hopes of getting to the playoffs are cooked. Your hopes of turning your franchise around for the long term are cooked. There's just a lot that's not going to be on the table if Bryce can't play more consistently.
He needs to. Like a couple times a game, you'll just see just a violent miscommunication from the Panthers offense. I'm sorry, that's a week 8 issue. That can't be happening in week 17 if you're on the verge of a playoff berth. Like you can't go into the playoffs and have a bunch of MAs and the receiver was supposed to run a dig and he ran a curl or whatever it is. Like a choice route goes wrong. Can't happen. Tampa Bay lost to a team whose coach had to vouch for his quarterback being smart because he had a Southern accent. Did you see that?
I did not.
Mike McDaniel was like, hey, don't let the voice fool you. He's really, really smart. And just because he's from Texas, he's saying that because he's got a country accent. Tell me that guy's an NFL coach. Look me in my eyes and say you're qualifying a quarterback's intelligence because of his accent. That's nonsense. Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay shouldn't win. Can if Tampa Bay wins, can we do a coin flip for Atlanta to get that spot if they win out?
Oh, shut up.
Can we
shut up?
I'd like to see some Kirk magic in the playoffs.
Shut up. Oh, now you like Kirk? I don't want to hear
like
any
that
of it.
I'm getting my money's worth from Kirk.
That's what I like. I don't want to hear any of this bullshit.
The last thing I wanted to see was Kirk run off with the millions of dollars from us. No. You're going to sit in that pocket. You're going to get lit up by Jared Verse. That's what you're going to do. You're going to throw that ball to Kyle Pitts. You're going to force it to Drake London. That's what you're going to do. You earn that money.
Don't suddenly claim that.
I never wanted to get rid of Kirk unless we get something.
No,
back
I'm saying that don't suddenly just find a way to be like, hey, Atlanta should be allowed in this thing too. Just stop it.
I'd like to say
stop. You had your chance.
I'd rather have
failed. You had the best roster in the division.
Agreed.
And you failed.
Total failure. We should be able to sub in the Lions for the NFC South representative. We should also be able to sub in the Dallas
G5
Cowboys.
Teams shouldn't be allowed to go to the college football playoff.
You know what? I'm making oh God, I'm the SEC. Holy shit.
All right. At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hack City Pod. We'll talk to you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your week.